watch out, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say, you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
This week's guest represented Australia at the Tokyo Olympics, and last weekend he broke Sean Crichton's 32-year-old national steeplechase record with a time of 8:13. Welcome back to the Inside Running Podcast, Ed Trippas.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for giving up some time. I bet your phone's been running hot this week, and are you still buzzing from last weekend's run?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome to have got so many messages of support, and definitely been on a little bit of a high this week. I think that at a certain point you kind of ride the high and then you just crash, and it's like a couple of days where you're just tired and kind of a bit run down. But yeah, it's definitely energizing to have had such an amazing performance and got so much support from it.
Yeah, well, for our listeners, you last appeared back on episode 192, which was in 2021. You just qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, and that interview was with Matt Whipred. Since then, you've gone on to run at the Olympics, graduated from Princeton and spent time running and studying at the University of Washington, and obviously turned pro. I would like to touch on that sort of 4-year period. But before that, let's focus on last weekend. Like, tell us about the race and what your expectations were going in.
Yeah, the race was just like a really small meet in Belgium. And honestly, I've been training amazing and kind of expected to at least have a crack at this world standard, which was ultimately like an Australian record. And so I had raced in Liège in Belgium as well a couple weeks before that, and run 8:21 and got third in the race, but was competitive, and it was supposed to be a faster race, and I felt really good, and so I kind of knew like I was in shape. And there just aren't that many outside of Diamond Leagues. There aren't that many steeplechases. So even though this is really small meet in Belgium that we ran at last weekend, the field was stacked and it was just set up to be a super good race. And yeah, we had me and Bucks and Clarkey in it, so like all the Australian steeple boys, and it was just like how many people could get the standard, how many people could go for it. And thankfully, it's kind of something I've been working towards, obviously, for the last few years, like trying to get the Australian record, just because it's such an iconic record, and only a few seconds off previously my PB. And that was from, like 4 years ago when I was last on the pod. So yeah, it's definitely something I know that I could get, but having fitness, a race opportunity, and just things go right. Like so many things have to go right for it to all come together, and thankfully it did. So it was pretty awesome.
And were you always in front of the other two Aussies, or was there a time when Bucks was in front of you? And did you know throughout the race that you were on Australian record pace?
So I kind of started, Bucks and I kind of started like mid to back of the pack, and Clarkey was a bit further up. It was just such a big field. It was 20 something people on the start line, and we actually had two, like they can't split, they can't do like a staggered start in the steeple. So we had people lining up on like a second line, like behind us in the start line. So people were like a meter behind us or whatever, just because there were that many people in the field. And so the start was super chaotic, and just kind of, I was pretty focused on just kind of settling in for the first couple laps, and then kind of working up and finding the position that I wanted to be later. And so, I was similar to Bucks, like the whole race, like we were just kind of together middle to back of the pack, and then slowly worked up. And then Clarkey was a bit further ahead, and I kind of trusted that the pace was going to be on, and it felt like pretty comfortable, but it was also pretty messy. So there was definitely a lot of running wide, and in the steeplechase, you end up losing a lot of momentum at certain points with how people hurdle in front of you and that kind of stuff. And so, it was kind of not looking at the clock. And then I think I glanced at the clock at about 2K, and we were a little bit like, I think I was about 5:32 or 3, which for reference, like 8:15 pace, which is the standard is 5:30. So knew we were like in striking distance, but I felt like pretty good. So I knew like I was going to get the stand, or like I'd be close if I had a good solid couple laps. And then didn't really check the clock after that and just raced. And so even with 2 laps to go, I was looked up and like I think it was Bucks and then Clarky in front of me, and then I think I went round Clarky maybe, and then with 400 to go, I went round Bucks. And so, yeah, it was crazy. Like with 2 laps to go, I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to run the standard here, but I've still got to beat the other two as well if I like want to get the record. So it's yeah, cool that we all had the opportunity to be in the race and got to go head to head, and all had such great performances at big PBs.
Yeah. The only reason I asked you whether you sort of knew during the race whether you were on national record pace was because I was looking up some stats, and I thought it was quite ironic because Sean Crichton back in 1996 broke Ron Clark's 31-year-old 10,000 meter record. And I remember him telling me the story that late in the race, it was basically him and Darren Wilson. And he knew that one of those two guys was going to be the new Australian record holder. He just wasn't sure who it was going to be at the time. And then actually both of them broke the old Aussie record, which is exactly what you've done this time around, breaking a 32-year-old record with Bucks also going under. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's yeah, funny coincidence. Yeah, I feel like I did have a good sense that it was going to go down, but it was like just whoever was going to be the first Australian. And I mean, I knew I was in amazing shape, so yeah.
And
Just
so obviously you're doing a fair bit of training with Bucks.
yeah, so we've just been in St. Mary's for a couple of weeks, so did some workouts together. I probably like in the last 6 months, I've done little bits with Bucks here and there, but like less than you would think. Um, the main guy I've been training with is Zach Fazzioni, so um, that's been really good. But it's always hard. Like I missed a lot of time last year, wasn't that healthy when Bucks was going well, and this year he's had like a few things pop up recently that he's kind of missing time for, and so you never like even though on paper it's like, oh, you should just train the same like the whole year. It's always like someone's on and someone's off, and it's a bit harder to line up than you would think. So, but we've had done a few like key workouts up in St. Moritz, which were good. And yeah, I knew he was in great shape as well. So yeah.
And what's that dynamic like when your teammate is also your competitor? Like when you're training together, you're sort of trying to get one over the top of each other, or is it a real supportive environment?
No, it's super supportive. I think Buxton and I are both very sensible in the way we train, and there's no ego. We're both just happy for each other, and I mean, even when we race, it's very much like we want each other to do well, which is awesome. Yeah, like the on team and the on group, I think have like something pretty special because there's a lot of like event double ups, especially like women's mid distance and stuff. But I think everyone is very supportive of each other. So yeah, it's nice.
And was this race your last opportunity to qualify for Worlds, or did you have a backup plan?
Yeah, this year's been funny just because it's such a late World Championship, and so there's actually lots of time, but there's not heaps of races. And so this was definitely the last opportunity that I had that was kind of formed already. But if I hadn't have run the time, or like for Ben, who's just missed the time, like I knew there was going to be another opportunity because other people would be in the same circumstance over in Europe, and everyone's kind of swinging for the standard now. And so, like, he's racing on the 20th, I think, potentially in the UK, and he'll have another go there. And I kind of figured something like that would pop up if I hadn't run the standard, but I was fairly confident that if the race was fast enough, like I was going to get it.
Yeah. And as a teammate, do you go and pace him for that one?
No, there's actually a bunch of people going for it, so thankfully they have someone else to do it. If it had just been like him and he was swinging for the standard and there was like a race locally, like it would have made sense then for me to pace him. But I'm actually going back to Australia on Sunday, so I won't be here for that. Yeah.
You've had a pretty good track record of like nailing qualifiers, like, reasonably last minute. Was it, you only had a few hours before the Tokyo qualification period, I believe?
Yeah, yeah, that one was crazy. It was like 2.5 hours before, and I guess in some senses I qualified with that one for the next year's World Championship, so maybe that's a super early qualification.
Yeah, true.
But no, yeah, very late, and I think I don't know. I've always just kind of built momentum throughout seasons, and so the later, um, closer to the championship it is, like typically I think like the better I'm going and the more I've raced and stuff, and so that's potentially why. But yeah, a few close calls.
And does your mindset change as you get closer to the qualification period ending? So you obviously have less chances to go. Does your mentality change for races?
I don't think it's a mentality shift. Um, I yeah, I don't think it's like a desperation thing. I think it's just more of like fitness building, confidence, more racing experience. I think when I qualified for Tokyo like 4 years, 5 years ago, whatever it was, like I was aiming for it obviously, and like you think you can do it, but I wouldn't say I was really expected to make it, and there wasn't like a heap of pressure. And then once you make a team and you make another team, then the pressure starts to build and years become almost like a failure if you don't make the team, or a bit of a disappointment. And I think this year I kind of, um, like I had such a disappointment last year with injury that this year I wasn't putting as much pressure on myself, and I was just happy to run as well as I could and kind of let things externally shake out the way they were going to shake out. And ultimately, like was aiming for the time and I was aiming for the Australian record and wanted to make it that way. But if I'd run 8:17 or 8:16 and just missed the time or whatever, like that was still going to be a successful season.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, let's talk about your last like 12 to 18 months. So to set the scene, start of 2024, you were running quite well on the domestic season. I think you were winning most of the steeples at the Grand Prix. And then you actually injured yourself at Nationals during the race. And then you basically didn't race much all last year. And even the start of this year, like what you ran an 8:11 flat 3K in March, maybe. So talk us through that last 12 months, 18 months of injury and building back.
yeah, I was in like for me, I was like in really good shape domestically last season and ran PBs in the flat 3K and was kind of like unchallenged in the steeple at the time. And yeah, ran a few like 8:30s, but like very comfortably. And thought I was gonna kind of have performances like I've just had, but last year, like once I had gone overseas and had some better race opportunities, and then yeah, I just ended up. I don't really know what happened at nationals. Like I just um, twisted my foot landing on a water jump, and it was just a super bad injury, especially for a steeplechase. Like you don't want to injure your feet and ankles, and kind of rushed back on the quickest timeline possible because I knew I was in great shape, and if I could just run, like there was a chance I could still make the Olympics. But when you're just running in pain every day, you don't have full function, and you can't really like take off on that one injured ankle or land on it. It's especially in the steeplechase, you're just losing so much efficiency, and it didn't matter how good shape I was in. Like I still raced twice, which now looking back is crazy because even like 6 to 8 months later, I was still running in pain on my ankle. But like the fact that I could run two steeplechases after like 5 weeks and then 8 weeks or something is just crazy.
Yeah, you're
But
in 8:38 in June. So what was the actual diagnosis of the injury? Was it like, stretched ligaments and that sort of thing, like rolled ankle or?
yeah, oh, it's been so long now. So I fractured my calcaneus, which is like the heel
Mm.
bone, and there was a little bit just like broken off. Um, and then the actual real issue came from my like tore two ligaments, and then there was just heaps of swelling and like bone bruising, and
Mm.
I actually yeah, I'm trying to think. It was just swollen and inflamed, and everything was just damaged for so long that um, yeah, I even got so I took like I ultimately ran that season and then took 6 weeks off and then tried like running like a little bit for a couple weeks and then just wasn't right. So got another MRI and there was still like a bunch of stuff that showed up. And so I got another cortisone shot, and then had to take another 2 weeks off, and then just really slowly built back up and was just kind of like running a little bit, biking quite a lot, doing some sessions with the girls, kind of until November, December. Um, yeah.
And then it's been pretty like smooth sailing since then.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, like having missed that much time, it's just been a slow build. Like physically, my body couldn't handle, like I couldn't just do like huge sessions, and I didn't have like the efficiency necessarily, just from having missed so much time. And my typical week now is probably like 140 to 150K, 160 maybe on like the really big weeks. But yeah, I was just running like 100K for until really like um yeah, like March, sorry, until like February or something. And then I was kind of at that like 130 to 140, which is kind of enough to start like actually getting some efficiency and getting fit. So yeah, it's just like a slow domestic season this year, and thankfully, like the season and world championship goes really late. So
Mm.
just really built with races and then focus on all the fitness and training. So yeah.
Yeah. And how did you deal with, I guess, missing the Olympics mentally? Because like last time you were on the podcast, you seemed like you were quite busy with your study, which you're really into, and so athletics was it wasn't everything. Whereas now you're a pro athlete, and you've sort of been to the Olympics already, expecting to sort of make the next Olympics, and then you're injured. How do you deal with that mentally?
Yeah, it was really hard last year, especially like you said, because when you're a student, you kind of have other outlets and like running isn't everything. But when you're a professional, it's so easy to just make running everything. And in some senses, that good because you've just studied for 3 years and you're at maybe like you're giving like 5% of your energy away to like other outlets, which for some people is helpful, and for others, it's you just want to be 100% in. So for me, like the opportunity to go 100% in for a few years and just run professionally is something that you don't really get that at any other time in your life. So you just got to make the most of it. But when things are going really well, and then there's such a shocking big setback, it's yeah, it was really hard. And thankfully, like I just kind of had like teammates and friends around me who were super supportive. And I actually think for me, finding another outlet, like I got super into cycling and biking, and that kind of gave me something to progress at a little bit without, that was still a little bit productive, but just away from the world of running. So that was nice.
Yeah. So you're still cross training a lot though. In like when you said you took like 6 weeks off running, it's like you're always cross training.
Yeah, pretty much. I definitely, it's just nice to have something to do, like go out for a ride. The riding in Melbourne's super nice, and some days I would just do a little bit, and other days, like if I felt like it, go out for a couple hours. But um, it there's just nothing that really replaces running, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's chat maybe over the last, like what's happened over the last sort of 4 years since you were last on the podcast. So you graduated from Princeton, and I think you're studying economics, was it?
Yep,
Major in
yep.
that. And then you decided to head across to University of Washington. Was that largely running related or academic related or a bit of both? Talk us through that decision.
Yeah, I still had a little bit of NCAA eligibility, and so just looked for a grad school opportunity. Just and at University of Washington, the that was definitely mainly an athletic decision, but also I was interested in their. I did a 1 year Master of Entrepreneurship program, which was pretty interesting. So somewhat like economics adjacent, but
Mm.
kind of like a different thing altogether. So yeah, it was interesting, and I was kind of yeah, just mainly attracted by the fact that they had a big team of guys who were in a similar position to me. So a lot of grad students who were all in on running at that point, and just going had like a little bit of eligibility, and then were turning pro. And so um, yeah, it was also cool to like I had done 4 years on the East Coast. For people who don't know, Princeton's in New Jersey, which is just near New York. And so getting to live on the West Coast and live in Seattle was also just a bit of a change. And anyway, I had gone and visited and just got on really well with the coach and the team, and so I was really happy to make the move there just for 1 year. And yeah, I really enjoyed the year there. I think being surrounded by such great teammates was inspiring and really cool. I think it was a little bit of adjustment in terms of the training was a bit different, and for me, I'd just come off a really long season the year before doing World Champs and Com Games, and so just took ages to get going that year. Um, and yeah, I really enjoyed it there. But then having just done 1 year there, when the opportunity presented itself to move back to Australia, like that excited me. So yeah.
What were your options coming out of college? So did you employ a manager to sort all that out for you, or was OAC Oceania pretty much it was either that or get a job?
Yeah, so I had an agent, and he, like I'd been in contact with Craig Mottram, my coach now, and like knew that the OC Oceania was an option. The team, especially the men's side, was pretty small initially, and so um,
It was
it
really
was kind
Bucks,
of an
wasn't it? It was just pretty
it was
much
just
Bucks,
Bucks,
wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was just Bucks, um, the founding father, and yeah, there was kind of just a bit of an unknown like with the team. Um, and so my agent, like, there were a couple options in the US that he had, but yeah, I don't know. On really excited me, and I had heard that Zach Fazzioni and Jesse were also joining, and they were kind of in a similar situation. And I grew up in Sydney and had done a bit of running with Zach, and so knew him and knew he was a good guy. And I had met Jesse a couple times, I think, and so yeah, it was still a bit of a risk, like a bit of an unknown, but the idea of moving back to Australia excited me, and living in Melbourne, it's still like a new city, so it's lots to explore and do and see, and the running's great, but it's got the comforts of Australia, whereas in the US you're just really far from family, and the lifestyle's a bit different, and everything's just a bit different. So
Yeah. And how was that
yeah.
adjustment going from, student athlete to pro in terms of training compared to what you've been doing in the US, just lifestyle? Obviously, you don't have to study anymore. Like, did it take a while to adjust?
Yeah, I think at that point I kind of had a pretty good sense of what I needed to do, just because I had had a little bit of success in the past for what worked for me. And I think at Princeton, like that was coming out of high school and adjusting to college and life and training. That probably took me 2 years or like a year and a half for things to like fall into place and click. And then at Washington, it was still an adjustment and training, and that probably took 6 to 8 months, probably 6 months to click. And then moving to Melbourne again, it's like different training, bit of a different lifestyle. And honestly, Craig was so good, and with the help of like a Vish at the VIS and some other people, like I think just really quickly were able to figure out kind of what was best for me in terms of training. And it's not like a huge variation from um, what we were just doing for the first little bit, but it's just a few little tweaks uh, that kind of um, worked a bit better for me. And so it only took like probably 2 months until things started clicking. And yeah, it was just really exciting. Like I was living with Jesse Hunt and Imogen Barrett, and I think we were all just kind of like pretty excited about the new team, and we had all come from the US, so it was really cool to be back in Australia, and everyone was there was a bit of buzz around the group, and yeah, Jesse was racing really well and domestically, and yeah, it was just really exciting. So the adjustment was honestly really good moving to the group in Australia.
And mentioned that your mileage sort of now is that sort of 140 up to 160 max. What does a typical training week look like for you, like Monday through Sunday?
Yeah, I would say uh, it kind of varies like seasonally and stuff, but so in college we would just do like Tuesday, Friday were the main workout days, and then Sunday was a long run, but a bit more emphasis. So it was an adjustment for me now because it's kind of back to this typical Australian method where it's like you do workouts on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Um, but yeah, it's so Monday now is kind of like a easy run day in the morning and then a jog and strides in the afternoon. Tuesday morning it's usually like a track session and then a double. Wednesdays like a medium long run, 16 to 18K. Thursday, usually like a threshold session. Again, like the sessions and stuff can kind of vary depending on time of year and what the focus is. Thursday afternoon double. Friday's like easy day, so just do 12K or Saturday we do like hills at Wattle Park sometimes, or sometimes we'll be on the track, but it's a session in the morning and then Saturday afternoon double and then Sunday long run. So in college, my long run was actually pretty long, like 28K, like to 25 to like 30K, but now it's like 21 to 23K. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And did you do any part-time work? Because the only reason I ask is I feel like there's certain athletes out there that love just going all in on athletics. The academic side is not really for them. But from your previous interview, you've obviously put a lot of work into your studies. And, there's people out there that maybe feel like sitting around a lot of the time is a bit too much. Like, was that a bit of an adjustment for you? And do you do some part-time work?
Yeah, I don't do anything. In college, I had like a few part-time jobs, but now I'm just all in on running, which is honestly super nice. And I think it was a little bit hard last year because I had so much time with injury and just like you just spend a lot of time sitting around, like feeling sorry for yourself. And I think there was a good period where I was like, oh, maybe I should just pick up a little work doing something. But then when you're full training or away, like we've been away for, I think like 12, 13, 14 weeks now, and you're just kind of on the road all the time and it's really hard. Or when you're at training camp in Falls Creek, it's really hard to just do anything else except run. Like you're tired all the day and like a lot of the day is spent focusing on recovery and doing the little things. And so yeah, I'm not doing any part-time work and I think for a lot of the year it would be really hard. There's like a little bit like during your kind of off season where it'd be like, okay, I could work for like 6 weeks, maybe like 10 or 20 hours a week, but finding a role like that is is just hard.
Yeah. I've always been fascinated with the steeplechase guys where there seems to be a big variation between like races. One race you guys will come out and you'll run 8:30, then the next one's like 8:20, then it's back to like 8:30. Is there something about the steeple where like if you're not having a great day with the rhythm of the steeples that there is a bit of a fluctuation between like a really good day and an average day?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think it compounds. Like if you're having a good day and you're hurdling, like say you save zero point 0.2 seconds on every hurdle. There's 35 hurdles a lap. Like that's is that like 7 seconds or whatever. That's just free time, like and that's not changing any running at all. And so there are little things like that which make a big difference. But I think it's just it's like the 5K as well. Like it's probably closer to the 5K than the 1500 in the sense that like when you're going well and you're having a good one, like you're really on. Whereas the difference is if you feel pretty bad, like it's a long way when you're feeling bad and jumping over hurdles and you've got 800 to go and there's still 10 barriers, 2 water jumps or whatever. Like it's hard.
Yeah. And you said that there was 24 people in the race on the weekend. I'd imagine, or from what I understand from the steeplers, it's like you want to get a good sight of the barrier before you jump it. And so 24 would seem excessive in a race, especially when you're all at that similar sort of level. So how fast do you think you could go if it was a race of 15? Do you think you got a few seconds in you?
Yeah, I definitely think I have more time, which is exciting. But at the same time, you never know when opportunities like that kind of come around again. So you just make the most of the ones you have. But yeah, I think like I haven't gone back and watched the race or anything, but my memory of the race is like I ran a lot of the race kind of wide, like two people, the second person wide, so like not quite in lane two, but outside the lane one, and had to move wide to hurdle, and it kind of the steeplechase is a bit like an accordion, like it kind of everyone spreads out to like get their own clear line into the hurdle, and then like comes back into lane one after that. Um, I think that in the big pack, you're kind of distracted the whole time. So in some sense, that's a benefit. Like you're not worried about how you feel or the clock or anything. You're just like, okay, I got to hold my line. I got to hurdle clear. You definitely have to trust the guys in front of you to hurdle well, and otherwise you can just lose so much time by being inefficient. Um, the it it's definitely an advantage to have it single file, strung out, even paced, good hurdlers in front of you, a clear sight to the barriers. But in some senses, you have more time to think then, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm a bit tired now, whatever. But I think there's a good balance, and the race on the weekend was probably more on the messy, wasted energy side than the clean, strung out line. So I definitely think there's some time. I even think like the last couple races, my very last barrier on the home straight, I've kind of I haven't been like racing and being like really aggressive because I think I knew I was going to run the time, and so I was like, okay, I just got to get over the last barrier like super clean, and then I can run for the line. And so instead of being really aggressive, I've been a bit conservative, and so there's even probably like half a second to a second in just like the little technical things like that. Um, so there's definitely time in the bank, which is exciting, but it's again, like I said, it's all circumstances, right?
Yeah. So moving on to world, what is a because I had a look at the road to Tokyo like rankings, and I think there's only two spots left in the quota that haven't been filled by automatic times. So that means you've got what 30 plus people sub 8:15. What's a successful world champs for you?
Yeah. I mean, even at the start of the year, I had said like that my goal was to make the World Champs final. In 2022, when I ran in Eugene, um, I think I was sixth potentially in my prelim and was kind of like a second or something outside of the final, a second and a half or something back when they had time qualifiers. Um, but like just missing the final a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, okay, like the next World Champs I run, like I'd love to try and make the final, like be aggressive and try and make that final. So that's still the goal. I think, like you said, it's really exciting this year because the slowest person basically will have run. Like I still think guys, especially like Bucks might is going to attempt it and the standard, and there's a few guys in his race that could get it. Like it could be a full 36 people have the time 8:15.
Mm.
Um, so if the slowest person is 8:15 and the fastest person is 8 minutes, but the median is around 8:12 or 8:13, it's really like a really condensed um, like distribution of people in terms of like how good you are got to be. Like the 15th person, the I think 15 or 12 make the final. Like the 12th fastest guy is probably like 8:12 or something, and then you've got another 20 people who have only run it within like a second or two of that. So really anyone could make the final. It's just about having a good race on the day and being ready to go. So that really excites me.
And just a couple more questions. So you said you're coming back to Australia, so that means you won't race again until World Champs. And if that's the case, like you'll just do some really hard training sessions to stay sharp between now and Worlds.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a 1500 in 2 days just for fun while I'm here. There's one in town, so I'm just doing that. I haven't run a flat race in ages, and the 1500, an actual 1500 in since I think 2018 or something, which is crazy. So I don't really have any expectation for that. It's more just for fun.
Well,
But
put a time on it now, so our listeners can follow along. What do you reckon you're going to run for 1500?
I'd love to just break 340. I'd love to just run like 330 something. I think the 15 is like an event where like without getting, I like any other event, like without getting any fitter, like if you just race like two or three, you can kind of take like a couple seconds off. And so it's a shame that I don't have like two or three to do, because I think like if I run 3:41 on the weekend, I could run like 3:39 the next one and then 3:38 the next one. But
Yeah.
I'd love to break 3:40. That'd be cool.
So yeah,
Um,
1500, then back to Australia, and then what does the prep look like
yeah,
from there?
and then a little bit of time in Melbourne just to reset, and maybe, and then kind of like Tokyo's. Um, it's hot and it's humid, so just do some heat preparation. But yeah, like you said, just some solid sessions. I don't think I need to necessarily go like chasing more fitness. It's just about like maintaining and working on some more specific stuff. Like obviously, like I said, like the last 200 is going to be really important because there's so many guys who are going to be similar. So making sure to run really fast over the last couple hurdles, little things like that to work on, which will be good. And we've got a couple of weeks, and then so I'll spend a little bit of time in Melbourne and then go up to Cairns. Athletics Australia have their like pre-Worlds camp there, so um, and then yeah, do some heat training and specific work there, and yeah, then on to Tokyo, or maybe back to Melbourne for a little bit, and then on to Tokyo. So
Yeah. You mentioned you haven't run many 1500s. I was looking at your world athletics profile, and there's not a lot of flat races. Is that something on purpose or doesn't fit in with the schedule? Because I'd imagine like a lot of those PBs, like 1500, even flat 3K, flat 5K, like you could take massive amounts of time off those.
yeah, some of them are just like almost comical at this point. But the reality is like when you're chasing a team or you're chasing times and you kind of spend the whole season working towards them, you don't really have a lot of wiggle room to run flat races and waste um, like time and energy on those. And so being able to just do one that's like a free hit this weekend is like it's just fun. Like there's no pressure. Yeah, I'd love to have the opportunity to run more, but yeah, it's more just like circumstances than like it's not intentional. It's just a matter of the way things shake out. And yeah, like I do flat races and they're fun and stuff, but then like I'll race steeple and be like, oh, I just love this event. Like it's just fun.
It must be nice though to be in like a flat 3K race with, yeah, hit the bell and go, oh, this is so good. I don't have any barriers to jump or the last lap.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, you always know you're gonna make it to the finish line, whereas in a steeple, if things are going south, like you're like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, things could get dicey here.
And do you hurdle every week in training?
Typically, like I'll do like hurdle drills and some strides over hurdles on like a Monday with my strides, and then sometimes I'll do like some hurdles in a workout. So it's like once a week at the minimum, twice a week, like occasionally.
Yeah.
But that's like I've run 10 steeplechases a year for the last like 5 years. Like I got a lot of like lifetime hurdle mileage. So it's just about kind of maintaining that efficiency and yeah, I would advise people new to the event to like do a lot more hurdling than we do.
Yeah. And yeah, last one. Like, what do you enjoy doing outside of running? So, like, if you do have a bit of free time, is it reading books? Is it watching Netflix? What are you into?
Yeah, I like reading. I'm kind of into like fantasy right now. I hadn't read any fantasy books previously a couple of years ago, and then actually Morgan McDonald recommended me one, Name of the Wind, and I read it and I was like, oh, it's just so good. And then I looked for the next one and next one, and, next, and I just kept reading them. And now I message him sometimes about books, and he always got good recommendations and stuff, so that's fun. And then otherwise, I just enjoy kind of like exploring, like seeing new places and or trying like a new cafe if you're in Melbourne, or just doing little things like that. Like I said, I got really into cycling, so I love watching the Tour, the Giro, the Vuelta, whatever's on, like all the classics. Yeah, those
And it
kind of like
must be awesome as well when you're a pro athlete in Europe. in summer when all of these tours are on, to be able to watch it during the day, as opposed to us like watching an hour before we go to bed and then watching the highlights the next morning.
Yeah, it's so good. Like even we were in St. Moritz earlier, and the tour hadn't started, but the Tour de Suisse was on, and I was kind of like loosely following that. I actually wasn't watching that one super closely. I was just like had it on the TV in the background, and anyway, like looked up the stages and was like, oh, they're actually finishing and starting pretty close to St. Moritz. And anyway, one night they rolled in, and the whole team setups were at the hotels, kind of like around the track, and they have like the nutrition mechanic bus, and then the team bus, and all the cars. And then the next morning they started like 20 minutes away and rolled through St. Moritz, and that was awesome to see. And like just the whole like, well, obviously you see like the breakaway and the peloton, and then there's just like 15 minutes of like support cars coming through. It's just awesome to see. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, yeah, thank you for giving up, good like 45 minutes of your morning over there. Congratulations again on breaking Sean's record, and all the best for the rest of this season. Hopefully, we can get you on regularly as opposed to once every 4 years.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, great to be on here, and lovely to talk to you. And yeah,
very good. All right. All the best. We'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was taught as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black. Just show love to everyone you meet, doesn't matter